Hey, Super Scholars, happy Wednesday. Today is April 15th, and today is going to be our last day working on comparing and contrasting two versions of the same story. Okay, so our learning target for today is I am learning how two versions of the same story can share similarities and differences. Okay, so sink it in. We've heard this for quite a few days now. I want you to repeat it with me. I am learning how two versions of the same story can share similarities and differences. Our success criteria today is also the same that we have seen the last few days. I am successful when I can, excuse me, I am successful when I can explain the similarities and the differences in a text. Okay, repeat it with me, and I want you to say it with me this time. I am successful when I can explain the similarities and the differences in a text. So if you can do that by the end of reading today, then you have rocked it out and you are successful with today's lesson. So we are going to jump right into our model story for today. Our model stories are the first text over here is called The Injured Athlete. Our second text is called The Mouse Who Cried Cat. So remember, we are going to be finding those ways that these two stories are similar and also some ways that they are different, even though they are the same versions, okay? Very similar versions as far as the events going on in the story. So I'm going to start here with the injured athlete. I want everybody to get your finger touching the first word, and I want you to follow along with me as I read. Okay. Bobby was an average soccer player. He would fake an injury whenever the other team was ahead. The referee would call a penalty on the other team. So a penalty is like when you do something wrong. Okay. Bobby would sub out, and then a teammate would take the penalty kick and try to score. After a few minutes, Bobby would go back in the game and did not act hurt. A referee said to him, "Young man, you don't look hurt. Do not fake injuries or it will cost you." Bobby rolled his eyes and laughed. In another game, Bobby faked a second injury. His teammates scored from the penalty kick. Bobby went to the game and looked fine. The referee stopped and warned him again. "Young man, do not fake getting hurt. That is not good sportsmanship. If you really get injured, then people will not believe you." Bobby's team was playing a different club. His team was falling behind and did not want to lose. Bobby faked getting hurt and got away with it. His team scored off the penalty kick. He later returned to the game without any problems. Once again, the referee talked to Bobby. He said, "Young man, you're a bad sportsman. If you keep faking injuries, then no one will believe you when you really get hurt." Bobby just laughed because the referee had fallen for his trick 3 times. Bobby's club was playing against the toughest team in the league. By now, he was known for his lies. The other team sent a player to slide tackle Bobby and take him out. He was badly hurt. "Help me! I'm hurt!" He fell to the grass and shouted. Bobby's knee was twisted and badly hurt. But nobody listened to his cries. Bobby had pain shooting through his leg. His coach said, "Bobby, walk off the field and sit on the sidelines." No one helped him get up, so Bobby hobbled off the field by himself, which made the pain even worse. In that moment, he promised himself that he would always tell the truth. Mm. Okay, so we've got somebody over here who is keeps pretending like he's hurt, but he's not really. So then when he really gets hurt, no one wants to come and help him. Now we're going to read over here about the mouse who cried cat. Make sure your finger is touching this first word right here where it says Pip, and I want you to follow along with me as I read. Pip had an important job, but he did not always think so. He was just one mouse, but he was responsible for guarding the mouse house. He was supposed to sit outside the mouse house, an old leather shoe, and watch for cats. If he saw a cat, he was supposed to warn the other mice who lived in the shoe. So Pip spent his days sitting outside the shoe, watching for cats. He never saw any cats and was unusually quite bored. He wasn't allowed to read or play with his mouse toys. He was supposed to be working. But oh my, he was bored. So Pip thought of a little trick to amuse himself. Cat! 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 He shrieked one day. All the mice came running outside of the shoe, armed with tiny rocks to throw at this cat, but they did not see a cat. Where's the cat? His mother asked. Pip just laughed and laughed. There was no cat, but the sight of all the other mice running out of the shoe in such a hurry with such worry was very amusing to Pip. His mother warned Pip to never do that again. Pip did not listen. The next day, Pip yells it again. Cat! 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 He screamed. Once again, all the mice in the old leather shoe ran out, armed with rocks, only to find Pip giggling, snickering, and laughing. That is not funny, Pip. Don't ever do that again, said his mother. The next day, all the mice in the house heard the same thing. Cat! 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 Screamed Pip. Don't get up, said Pip's mother to his brother. It's just your lying brother. There's no cat. Still, they could hear a frantic Pip yelling from outside. They could not trust Pip, even if he sounded really scared. Just then, his brother saw a giant yellow almond-shaped eye looking at him through a hole in the shoe. It was a cat, and it was too late. Oh my. So now over here we've got this mouse Pip who keeps screaming cat and getting all the other mouse aroused and scared. And then after 2 times and there's no cat, they also just like don't believe him. They're like, no, it's not really a cat. And so the same thing over here. These two stories are similar because over here we have Bobby faking an injury, but he's not really hurt. So then when he really gets hurt, no one wants to help him because they're like, oh, he's just playing another trick. He's lied to us too many times. And then over here we have Pip the mouse, who's also tricking, right? He keeps yelling cat. He does that twice. And then the third time he does it, when there really is a cat, no one believes him because he's already made it up and lied twice, right? And so they both end up with this notion that, well, after the second time of not telling the truth, it's kind of hard for people to trust and believe in you, right? And so that's how these two stories end. They don't believe them, except the third time it really is the real thing. And a difference for these stories is that, well, this story we are talking about Bobby, so this is a boy, okay? And over here we're talking about animals. So this story has mouses and cats. Okay, a cat in this story. So the characters are different in the story in that way because this is talking about a young boy versus this talking about a mouse and a cat. Okay. So also the settings can be different. Okay. This looks like this is taking outside the mouse house. Okay. An old leather shoe. And this story is taking place on a soccer field, okay? Because this is all happening while he's playing soccer. So the settings of these two stories are different, okay? So I am going to click to our next story. So this is your story that you are going to be reading today. The first text is titled The Turtle and the Rabbit. The second text 2, is The Sloth and the Toucan. Okay, so this is your story that you're reading today and what you should look like, or what yours should look like that you have in front of you. Or if you don't have the copy in front of you, here is a copy right here for you to read with me. All right, I'm going to start here reading The Turtle and the Rabbit. I want you to get ready and touch the first word and read along with me. I am going to read it this time, and then you are going to have a chance to read it again on your own before you do your assignment and take your quiz. There was once a turtle and a rabbit that lived in the forest. The rabbit knew she was faster than the turtle. She asked the turtle to race her. The turtle said no at first because he knew he was much slower than the rabbit. But Turtle wanted to be brave, so he said yes. The rabbit laughed because she knew she would win. The day of the race, the turtle and the rabbit came to the starting line. Once they started, walked in Turtle walked and Rabbit ran as fast as she could. Rabbit was so far ahead after 10 minutes that she sat down for a nap. Turtle knew he didn't have time to nap, even though he was tired. He kept on walking. When Rabbit woke up from her nap, she saw that Turtle was at the finish line. Slow and steady wins the race. Huh. Okay. So here in this story, looks like we've got a turtle and a rabbit as our characters, okay? And looks like the turtle is walking and the rabbit decides to run. Well, okay, rabbit eventually gets tired. It looks like and needs to take a nap. And so turtle ends up saving his energy and kept going and was able to win the race. Down here, we're going to read about the sloth and the toucan. Touch the first word with me and get ready. Toucan knew that sloths were very slow, and Toucan loved to win games. So Toucan asked Sloth if he wanted to race. Sloth knew this was a crazy idea because he didn't like moving. Toucan said, "Let me make it easy for you. The first animal who can make it to the forest floor wins." Sloth looked down and saw how far up in the tree he was, but he wanted to try. Sloth said yes. They started their race. Toucan wanted to show off to all their friends, so she flew up high in the air and did a few flips. Sloth slowly made his way down the tree, looking for branches and twigs to hold on to. Up in the sky, Toucan stopped flipping and looked for Sloth. Uh-oh, he was lost. He must have flown too far. When he finally found his way home, he noticed that Sloth already won. Huh. Okay, so then down here, same thing. We have Toucan here who wants to show off for all of his friends and flies up in the air and does all these flips until until he realizes that he flew a little too far and gets kind of lost. But when he looks down and finds his place again, he notices that the sloth has won the race. Okay, so being slow here, the sloth being slow and the turtle being slow actually paid off in the end, right? Because they took their time, which is a lesson we can learn in real life, right? To take your time with things so that you can do your best work, which is what you all hear your teachers say all the time. Okay, so this is your task for today, friends. I want you to remember, we have this Venn diagram here because I want you to remember to always reference in your head a Venn diagram when you're comparing and contrasting, because it really helps you see the difference between the two. And so I encourage you to even draw a Venn diagram today on the back of your sheet here that you should have, and write it out using the Venn diagram so that you can also have that visual for you as well. It looks like it wants us to compare and contrast the characters in the story. It wants us to compare and contrast the setting of the story. And it wants us to compare and contrast the events in the story. Remember, the event is just the main thing that happens in the story. So we have done this for a few days now. I think this is our 5th day. So I have so much hope in you all. And I believe that you all could totally do this today without me giving you an example to get you started. So I encourage you all to jump right on in today and go ahead and start filling this out, okay? Seeing if you can come up with all the ways that the characters, the setting, and the events are similar and that they are different. And I encourage you, like I said, to read the story again, even though I read it with you, so that you can have heard and read the story twice. All right, Super Scholars, good luck today. Don't forget to submit your quiz at the end of today's lesson on Go Formative so that you all can get your points. All right, Super Scholars, have a great day. I'll see you next week. Bye.